Hello everyone, welcome to Eternal Brews. My name is Pojo, and today we are looking at a deck list that I mostly pulled off of a Hearthstone streamer's Twitter. This is a deck by Strifecro that he's just been playing some Eternal apparently on stream and like playing around with it just for fun. And it seems like he's really liked it because he built a good little inexpensive tempo deck that he then brought to Master. And I think that this deck is really good. I've actually been really looking for something Feln that is not quite the sort of like Feln aggro archetype that was popular a couple months ago, and not quite the Feln control that's popular sort of always. I wanted something sort of in the middle, and I noticed this list and I immediately really liked it, so I thought I would make a couple of mild adaptations and play around with it for a little bit more fun. But for the most part, we are keeping a fairly competitive list. The only major change here that I think is strictly on the bad side is that I am playing Colony Matron, and I actually do like the card in this deck a lot. It has a lot of synergy with Champion of Cunning and some other things going on. But if you want to cut the Colony Matrons, you can instead add in one extra Swiftblade and I believe one more Suffocate, and you will have something very similar to Strifecro's list. The other swap that I made is that I am a big fan of Madness Devour, and I really like Madness in the current sort of Argenport meta where you are seeing a lot of Tavrod. I haven't seen as much Tavrod lately, so Madness is ordinarily a Shadowlands guide in this deck. If you're looking for the alternate list. We'll show that off at the end of the game so that you can see it, but yeah, those are the only major changes that I made. Okay, so the basic idea behind this deck is that we're playing a reasonable amount of early game, not quite threats, but cards that generate real board presence. Slumbering Stone creates a 2/2 gargoyle with flying when it dies, which means that it stymies the sort of aggro archetypes early, and it can be devoured to make a fairly cheap flyer while also drawing new cards and doing other things that are pretty beneficial to your overall game plan. None of these cards are super aggressive by themselves, but because they stack up on board and because they have flying abilities and evasive abilities, they tend to push through just enough damage to really get you to the point where you can win the game. And that's really relevant for what you're overall trying to do, which is play around with Memory Dredger and Dark Return and a little bit of like sort of Void Recursion. So lots of fun things going on here. Okay. So, Slumbering Stone and Twilight Raptor are your two 1-drops. They can be brought back with Shadowlands Guide if you're playing it. You have Gorgon, Swiftblade, and Dark Wisp building a lot of extra damage. Swiftblade is actually a card that really tends to push through a lot if you have correct removal. And we have 3 Annihilates and a Suffocate here to set things up, in addition to 4 feeding times, specifically to deal with just any particular problem that you're dealing with. So if you're having issues with Dawnwalkers, feeding time gets rid of Dawnwalkers. If you're having issues with Tavrod, feeding time definitely gets rid of Tavrod. It's very not efficient but effective removal, and so we're trying to get rid of like the very major threats so that we can have enough small units on board using the cards like Dark Return and Slumbering Stone that we can then bring them back with Memory Dredger and fill the board up, at which point we play Champion of Cunning, and that's usually the ball game. Champion of Cunning, of course, with the Flying Aegis, and at the end of your turn your units get +2 strength, is really good at turning small threats into large ones. And if you're playing this deck correctly, you will build up a lot of small, annoying threats that your opponent really isn't capable of dealing with. Most of the cards in this deck are kind of sticky and survivable. The ones that aren't recur very well, so it's very easy to get quite a few of those units down, at which point Champion of Cunning will take care of the rest and get you the final amount of damage that you need to push across and win the game. With the Aegis, the card is very hard to deal with, and everything early on is really sort of pushing towards that strategy. In addition, we have a lot of card draw. We have a lot of things like Dark Wisp, Wisdom, and Devour to make sure that we always have threats to play. So we're always being very sort of active on board and making sure that we're generating some sort of presence to deal with our opponent's stuff and basically just win very small amounts of advantage, which is the whole idea behind like a tempo deck in general. As I said, I'm running the Colony Matrons here with the Vampire Bats. You can generate a little bit of an air presence yourself, as well as some interesting blocking situations. It also just works super well with Champion of Cunning. I found it to be pretty interesting in the deck, and I really do like how that works. There are 4 Cobalt monuments here, and that's actually really relevant. This deck stops at 5, so you really want to be able to play these monuments here because That basically means that you have less power in the deck to play out, and you are going to be able to play a higher density of threats than your opponent, which in addition to your card advantage means that you're going to be playing very reliably towards your goal. And that's, yeah, once again, like sort of the whole concept of a tempo deck is that we are always doing something, and we're doing it very, very effectively to just push towards victory. Yeah, Memory Dredger is probably the star card of the list with the unit of cost 2 or less from your void. You can use this to either fetch Slumbering Stone to get you a lot of board presence in defense, or you can use it to fetch Dark Wisp, which is probably going to be the more common one. If you fetch Dark Wisp, then Dark Wisp can be used, of course, with Devour, or it can be used as a chump blocker to draw you more cards. Memory Dredger just really spirals the game out of control if it's not dealt with, and because you have so many other small flying threats, it's pretty likely that Memory Dredger might not be the card of choice for your opponent to deal with. You can also bring it back, of course, with Dark Return. There are a lot of ways to make sure that Memory Dredger sticks on the board and gets across for a little bit of damage, and if it gets that little bit of damage, it'll take the whole mile. So, yeah, that's the basic idea behind the deck. I am going to play a couple of games with it, and we'll show off sort of how it works. And yeah, we'll see if we can do a little bit of grinding with it. See you guys right in the games. Cheers. Okay, here we are up against Teferi. I've got a Shadow Sigil and a Cobalt Monument, which is enough to get started. Gonna be a little bit tricky to play off of this hand, but I am on the draw, so I think I'll have a chance to not having quite so awkward a hand. Regardless, there is a pretty decent plan here. We shed Slumbering Stone, we play the Cobalt Monument, and then if we don't have an undepleted power, then we don't get to Devour on turn 2, but we do get to Devour on turn 3 to make sure that we hit consistent power. So it's enough of a plan that I'm pretty willing to take this hand. Found ourselves a Memory Dredger. Did not find that undepleted power, which I am sad about, but not too sad. Nyctotraxion, definitely a more offensive card. And the Shadow here, we'll go ahead and Devour immediately, see if we can pick up another one. A Devour and a Memory Dredger. So, not bad cards, but we do need to find the ability to play them. There we go. Attack for 2. Could see a Desert Marshal, that would be exciting.
Think you can escape me?
I don't want to Devour this unit because I've got Memory Dredger in the wings. But I'm super happy to play Memory Dredger after seeing the first Desert Marshal come out of his hand. That'll allow me to bring back Slumbering Stones and get me some more undepleted units. Ooh, yeah, that's beautiful. Slumbering Stone. Go ahead and Devour this immediately, get some card draw. And if we can find blue, then we can Wisdom of the Elders with it. If we can't, then I think we Vara's favor.
Touch of Shadow.
There we go, another Shadow. Second Memory Dredger would not be bad, but I need more 1-drops for that to really make sense. I think Colony Matron might be the next play. Get ourselves a little bit of an engine going. We'll see what Teferi's up to. Second Memory Dredger is more aggressive, and pushing the aggressive plan might actually be the best plan, seeing as this deck is probably going to be running Harsh Rule. Just guessing, it's Nyctotraxion control, so it seems like Harsh Rule's a pretty likely target. Slumbering Stone here, of course, is resistant to Harsh Rule. And I think I'm pretty comfy with Colony Matron here. Even if there is a Harsh Rule, we want to build out the board. So what have you got, Teferi? Another Find the Way, so it doesn't have the Harsh Rule yet. And we're going to be able to put quite a few units on board. Depleted Shadow Sigil. If I annihilate my own 0-2 here, let's draw 2 cards first, see if we can find ourselves a Devour. Out of Vara's favor. Thinking Annihilate's not going to be that useful here, so I'm going to actually get a Slumbering Stone. That'll be the best use of my current 2 power. I'll attack for 5, and we'll get the stone back. Now we've got a huge amount of pressure. the harsh roll may come, and if it does, that's totally fine because we have plenty of stuff to play.
This ends now.
Okay, so there's the harsh roll gone. Seed of Cunning looks lovely. Attack for 2, of course. Play our Wisdom of the Elders first. See what we can draw. Haven't found enough Primal yet, which is something that I really want to establish for Champion of Cunning. But Memory Dredger should do fine here. Teferi's got the possibility of another harsh roll, which went we just Dredger again. And of course I've got a reasonable attack into a devourable target, so life will be pretty good. Teferi hurting a bit. The slow control does not do very well against Tempo. He's looking for the answer, but I'm not sure if he has it. So I have 2 feeding times to deal with the Nyctotraxians if the Nyctotraxians come down as defenders. He's also got some random cards in there. Those are going to be interesting to deal with, but feeding time should deal with pretty much anything, especially with a Vara's Favor to pop Aegises. So I think we're going to be fairly comfy with anything he plays on board. He's not going to be able to establish board presence. The big risk here is that he gets enough sweepers to actually get into a position where he doesn't feel threatened anymore. That might be a long way away, though. We're going to go ahead and play our next Memory Dredger. And there's a Curiox in here, too. This is a very greedy deck. He's nowhere near triple time, triple blue, so Curiox is not going to be coming down as a defender anytime soon. But
Safe travels.
I almost wish that the big dragons were coming out, because that would give me a little bit more to deal with. Okay, see Amber Acolyte. Does he have the Desert Marshal? He's got the Desert Marshal, then he can block Memory Dredger if I attack with it. So we want to Vara's Favor the Amber Acolyte first, just to make sure that we don't get like torched or Desert Marshal blocked. Yeah, basically any situation where the Amber Acolyte lives is probably a bad situation for me. So we're going to make sure that that card is dead, and once it is, we will be in much better shape. Very slow playing a little bit here. Probably doesn't quite have the right answers for Memory Dredger and really has to think about this, but yeah, Crown of Possibilities, all of the greed, all of the greed. Do love a good Nyctotraxian control deck. We have a list up on YouTube that you can look at if you like.
Touch of shadow.
But I don't think I'm running crowns in it because maybe I'm running them in the B version of the deck. So yeah, Slumbering Stone. And I'll play Swiftblade as well. And I could Devour right away, but I'm expecting to see some harsh rolls, so that would be kind of a bad idea. Alright, Teferi, what are we up to? If you don't have harsh roll, then I Devour this, and I have more than enough for lethal, especially with feeding time to remove blockers. So I think we're very comfortable in our ability to win the game off of our current board position. Second Sight does not a harsh roll make, although perhaps he could draw it off of that top 2, play an undepleted power, and then harsh roll us, in which case we'd be left with a 2/2, and probably 2 extra cards off the Devour, so reasonable enough. Not quite enough to kill, but close enough that I can probably push. I don't think he's got it, though. I think he's found something that's not helping him. Depleted power. Okay. Devour it end of turn. Found a Twilight Raptor, which is pretty cool if we want to be aggressive. Attack with everything, that's going to be 5. Desert Marshal will silence something and block something, which would be enough to live at 1 if he blocks the Memory Dredger. The second Sight, getting a Nyctotraxian. If the Nyctotraxian gets Destiny, then that's an answer, but looks like the 1 in 15 was not received.
Get behind me!
Oh, what? Okay, never mind. The 1 in 3 was received, he just got it off of the random card that he drew out of Nyctotraxian. So that's a little rough. We'll play Twilight, Raptor, and Swiftblade here, and we're going to feeding time that. That was a little bit aggressive, but I don't want anything with like lifesteal to come down here. If there's a harsh rule, there's a harsh rule at this point. We just need to win. We got one turn to do it. Nyctotraxian, I think, picked up lifesteal, so it may actually be an 8 damage unit with lifesteal, which would be just enough that I'm going to be in trouble.
Time heals all.
Human Defender is 5 health. And Seek Power means that he probably doesn't have Desert Marshal, although he still could. Seed of Progress. Okay, I'm very worried about that Desert Marshal.
We pass judgment.
Unblockable Argentport Stranger. Okay. So we feeding time there. And then we have 6. Yep. Pretty easy for lethal. And just enough. This deck will typically squeak by on just enough, unless you get the champion, in which case a little bit more than just enough. Alright, so good stuff. Alright, opening hand against Were Tiger. I have a 1-drop that I can play immediately. I have a Vara's Favor, I have a Memory Dredger. I think I'm pretty comfy with this. Twilight Raptor on 1 is a really good way to establish a nice aggressive board. So should be reasonable enough to get started and maybe get a little bit going. Got our opponent playing the new patch Horseman Avatar. So there was a new patch. I haven't done a patch breakdown on it because there's not actually any card changes, but they did add some cool things like deck tracking and just like really neat stuff for getting things going. This thing is interesting. So Vara's Favor gets us both a free card. And I think I actually want that free card.
Touch of shadow.
I don't normally like allowing him to draw a card here, but this is Argentport, so there could be things like Bloodletter, there could be cards that I would really prefer not to deal with on a Dark Wisp. I'd rather get the Annihilate and get the like big amount of advantage out of that. And it's also probably the best target that I'm going to hit with Vara's Favor, so just removing it from play and making sure that he can't Devour it for extra card value makes sense to me. Alright, got a Devour of my own. Swing for 2 here. We'll hold on to that Devour until we see some sort of removal thrown at us. If there's a Slay on the Twilight Raptor, then yep, that's totally worth it. Ooh, double Vara's Favor. So we definitely are getting our values worth. Devour draws us a few cards, and Wisp plus Swiftblade. Interesting. Memory Dredger makes sense too, but I think Wisp Swiftblade is probably good while I've still got removal to get Swiftblade across. So we're going to go ahead and establish that and see what we can do with it. Also, I'm getting close to being able to play Cobalt Monuments. I'm pretty excited about that. We probably don't want to play our 5th power since I've got Memory Dredger next. This deck has not done anything too crazy yet. I'm curious if it's going to be trying to harsh rule. I think I'm going to play Cobalt Monument instead of Memory Dredger here because I'm a little worried about harsh rule, and I want to kind of push some damage while also making it a little harder for him to kill Memory Dredger. Okay. Champion of Cunning is great, but not right now. Swing for 3. We're going to continue to play against control, since we certainly seem to be seeing a lot of control. Yep, second Death Strike. If he doesn't have removal for the 3rd flying threat, then Memory Dredger can get us a lot of value. Dark Return on Wisp, that is a feeding time target, because that kills the Dark Wisp and also prevents him from drawing a card. And if he's playing Recursion on Wisps in the first place, then it's really good to shut that down, so I think I'm very comfortable with that.
Make each bullet count.
Stonepetter Alchemist is a little bit scarier, but it would imply that he doesn't really have any like ways to deal with threats left. I will play Storm Dancer here again, because I'm just really liking the idea of saving this Memory Dredger for like a post-Harsh Rule board or a post-removal board. That block's fine. I could have also stacked the Dark Wisp up in case there was a Harsh Rule or a Finest Hour.
This ends now.
And we do get our card draw. It is a Shadow Sigil. We'll play Memory Dredger, and we'll also have Wisdom of the Elders. No reason to play or hold, so we'll go ahead and hold it. With this deck, you often will want to Wisdom of the Elders on your turn to either dodge counter spells or to get access to your very small damage units. You can get that done, that's going to be a lot better. And yeah, holding on to the Memory Dredger definitely worked out for us. We get to play back Swiftblade or Twilight Raptor or Dark Wisp. I think Swiftblade makes the most sense as a way to actually generate some pressure, but Dark Wisp makes some sense if we are feeling like there might be another Harsh Roll.
Make each bullet count.
Okay, Stonepetter Alchemist is a card that definitely allows him to get a little bit of extra fun rolling. I could Madness it, and then it would go into my hand if I could kill it, but I can't actually kill it, so we'll probably just do this. And because I have Quick Draw, he doesn't get the life gain. So I'm fine with that being in his deck. We'll get back our Twilight Raptor or our Dark Wisp. Twilight Raptor's pressure, Dark Wisp is card draw. I think I want to Harsh Rule proof my board a little bit, so we'll go ahead and do that. And we're expecting things like Inquisitor Mokto at this point. Tavrod seems less likely than Inquisitor Mokto in this situation.
It's all your fault.
Piercing Grief is a life gain, and I really don't think I can have that. Although getting a card draw wouldn't be too bad. Nah, we'll just remove it. There's not that many good Annihilate targets here, so preventing 3 damage and 3 life gained is going to give us a little bit faster clock. And I think that at the moment, we're just trying to pressure the clock. Twilight Raptor here. I have enough to kill him, but I'm going to play Memory Dredger on top of it. Just to make sure that there isn't like a Slay or Piercing Grief out. Tiger might have one last card to play. It is a Harsh Roll.
This ends now.
So we get a card draw. And hopefully we get some blue. Didn't find it.
Touch of Shadow.
With one card left, I'm pretty comfy playing Champion of Cunning by himself, although I would prefer
The Feln show no mercy.
if I had a blue here for an Aegis, but Impatience is going to be a virtue for me here. He gets the 2 health gain. Madness is going to mean that that is not going to be a blocker. And unless he's got a Vanquish or a Slay in hand, I think we win. Steal that. Good enough. Alright. Wrap that up quite nicely, and we'll see if we can advance a little further. Alright. So we're up against Solid Snake. Snake? Okay. Yeah, we have a Wisdom of the Elders and a Madness. This is not an amazing early hand, especially since there's no Shadow. We're going to redraw. Okay. Looking a bit more reasonable here. We get to establish a couple of Vara's favors, basically. Gonna be a little bit tough. Currently don't have anything to play on 2, which means that getting to turn 3 is gonna be a little tricky. You know, if we draw power, then looks a lot better. Dark Wisp is not bad. You can always Vara's favor your own Dark Wisp if you need to draw a card like very desperately, but I wouldn't recommend it most of the time. Typically you want to use Dark Wisp for extra value, such as a fodder target for removal, or some way to gain you a little bit of extra life. All of those things tend to be very effective. Okay, so Wisp here plus Feln Banner. I can now Wisdom and or Vara's favor, both of which should be okay. Looks like I might be up against a more Feln control list, but I think we'll probably match up just fine against that. Could be also the same Tempo list. I don't know how popular it has been. Shadow there. And a Seek Power. Seek Power would imply that this is definitely control. And yep, there it is. Okay, so from here, Vara's favors get me a little bit of access. I can also Wisdom and try and draw power. I think I want to consistently play power here, though I do like Wisdom to draw extra cards.
Touch of shadow.
But this gets me to Cobalt Monument.
Touch of shadow.
I think Cobalt Monument does a lot for us here, so we will just try and get ourselves a little bit more position. And if we can do better against the deck in general, then we can, feeding time the Feln Bloodcaster when we need to, get ourselves the damage we need across. That block does not seem terribly unreasonable. I don't currently have a lot of card draw. I'm probably fine with taking a little less damage and getting a little bit more to deal with my opponent's threats. Okay, Twilight Raptor seems good. So we'll play a Twilight Raptor. We'll feeding time one of these 2/5s. We won't feel too bad about the lost cards. Yep, taking 2 here is fine. And Snake can potentially play something like a Black Sky Harbinger down on us, but I don't think he's going to do that. Attacking for 2 gets us a Lightning Strike. That's actually pretty good for me. Playing Storm Dancer makes a lot of sense here. Try and push out the removal and get ourselves into a position to play Memory Dredgers later. Snake is getting close to being able to activate Feln Bloodcaster, which would be a turn off, but not a bad turn off. Okay, we gotta win this fast now. So we're on 4 here. Champion of Cunning is gonna get us a little bit of extra push. He doesn't have an Aegis, so this is gonna get real ugly real fast, but at least I've got a 6/4 in the air. If he doesn't have Death Strike, if he doesn't have Witch Storm, we have a pretty good chance at this. If he does have Witch Storm, then this gets really ugly. So, what I want to draw next is a blue, provided that he doesn't kill my champion this turn. Death Strike? That's the wrong target, but okay, you got a second Death Strike. So now we're both pretty low on threats. Playing Dark Wisp here helps me out a little bit. I can always use it to draw a card off of the Feln Bloodcaster, which would be very helpful. The more Champion of Cunnings I can play, the better off I am. That's fine. And we're actually going to block with Dark Wisp because we need to just get through our deck as fast as possible. Okay, Vara's Vapor works too. There's the champ. Now we just need the blue. Memory Dredger versus Champion of Cunning. I think Champion of Cunning is better here. Memory Dredger certainly offers a little bit more in terms of value, but Champion of Cunning just wins the game, and if I can get that Aegis, that's a big deal. So we gotta go for Champ here. I can get Dark Returns and get the champions back. I really need to draw some blue. He doesn't have a removal card here. Again, things get a lot better for me. We have Witch. Do we have Storm? No Storm. So keep Champion alive for the moment. Feel free to take our hits, but we just want to get that extra value. Storm at least gets us a 2/2, but I'm worried about Black Sky Harbinger now. Yeah, Feln Bloodcaster, gonna keep pushing, that's fine. He's gonna play as Harbinger first. No blocks. And there it is, the Primal. So we get to swing for 9 and 2. Always play it out against Gift, people. Like, it is actually really reasonable. And it may seem like it's always a losing situation, but definitely can win you the game. We might see a Harbinger here, we might see something scary. I'm mostly okay with that. Snake appears to be out of good options, though. Which pops Aegis, but it's not enough, so we got it. Alright, cool. That's a good third game. Alright, Spifferific. I've got Shadows and Seats, Dark Wisps and Devours. Yeah, this looks really good. Like, it's not the early tempo you're looking for, but it definitely has some good control aspects to it, so we can go ahead and play out that Champion of Cunning later and get a decent amount of value out of it. Wisp plus Devour is just always a good way to draw a lot of threat access, and I think that's going to be much more helpful. Spiffy, what are we doing? Spiffy-rific. As far as the deck's worst matchups goes, the thing that I've seen the most that is just really, really problematic is Statuary Maiden Armory. Like, that really shuts this deck down hard, because it locks down all of the Void recursion that you've got, and it does so in a way that's actually really, really tricky. This is a reason probably to run more Suffocates in the deck than I'm currently running. Go ahead and attack for 1, and I gotta consider whether I want to Wisp again here. I'm kind of into it. I've got this Madness Devour combo that I'm kind of excited about, but more likely we are going to Devour on the next turn. Looks like I'm playing up against Chalice. We can push a decent amount of damage against Chalice.
Safe travels, friend.
Go ahead and attack with both of these. We get a block, we get a block. We don't, we don't. Devour here. Found ourselves a Slumbering Stone. And a second Slumbering Stone. I love it. We're now a little bit Harsh Rule proof, so that should be excellent. Champion of Cunning will force a Harsh Rule or a Desert Marshal, and either way I should at least get the +2 bonus. So I'm pretty comfy with playing my first champion here.
The Feln show no mercy.
Alright, got a 5/7 and 2 2/2s. We see the Harsh Rule here. The stone gets to come out and have a little bit of fun. And since we don't have anything to play other than the champions are definitely right here. Ooh. Fancy. Alright, so attacking for 3 could be good. Attacking for 2 could be fine. I could Madness the 1/4. That would give me a little bit more aggression, and I could just go all in, but I think I'd rather just swing with the 7/5 and see what I can get. That did put me at risk of Island's Choice, but all worked out for the best. Could have played a second champion there. I'm not keen on it. I think a Harsh Rule here is really, really bad for me. Vanquish, cool, but we've got a lot of stuff here, so I think we're feeling pretty happy about life.
Think you can escape me?
Desert Marshal locks down the Slumbering Stone. So now these blocks all look a little bit. My follow-up is Champion Twilight Raptor, so I'm not feeling too uncomfortable about that. No Chalice yet. We're definitely pushing out enough pressure that it's going to be really, really hard for him to recover. I've got this double Madness here, which will be really good, like, later in the game. We did see an Island's Choice. That's fine. I've got another champion, and we've got Dark Return on top of that, so I think we're going to be pushing for lethal next turn, barring some really weird complications. Yeah, got it. Knock that Chalice deck right over. Alright, we're up against SC Smile, and I am looking for 5 in a row now. We're going to redraw. See if we can get a little bit more going on. Cobalt Monument, Primal Sigil, Twilight Raptor looks pretty good. Swiftblade would be cool. I do not have Shadow here, so everything's a little bit awful, but we can probably make it work. Now, because I'm trying to get up to 5, Cobalt Monument might be a reasonable play here. Especially since I have no turn 1 play. If I don't draw power, we definitely play Cobalt Monument, because we're going to need 3 power at least. Now it's a little bit tricky. I don't know. I'm pretty okay with holding on to it here, since we need to draw a Shadow to play these Shadow cards anyways. So we'll hold on to it for a little bit, and we'll play it out if we need to. We're most likely looking at strangers here, since we see the Horus Trapper. Gorgon Swiftblade plays before Twilight Raptor, since we can actually get a little bit of push out of him. And he's probably going to be good against the first couple of strangers. Seed of Progress.
Our purpose is clear.
Determined Stranger is the scary stranger, but with an Annihilate, we can knock that out. Attack for 2. Probably either pick up Horus or pick up our Deadly, and then play Twilight Raptor. Picked up Horus. I'm down with that. We'll go ahead and take the Twilight Raptor 2. And now I can Madness to get Swiftblade across, although more likely I'm going to save that for when I have a Devour. Okay, strangers have some good stuff. Oh, playing the Cobalt might have made sense there. Do we want a Madness here? Seems unlikely. I think I'll just stay put. I've got Madness Devour for next turn, provided I get my 5th power.
Hide us.
That's a good set of strangers there. Alright. Feln Banner. What's the scarier stranger? I think it's got to be this one. And also that's the one that allows me to get damage in, so we're going to go with that. Swing with 4, and that should be good. Devour here. The old 2-card combo for maximum value. Colony Matron, not too bad. We got this stranger that's getting slowly bigger.
Are many.
Ooh, Reunite's a scary one. There could be a lot of bad things that happen off of that. Victorious Stranger is the worst. I'd really like to get a feeding time now. Storm Dancer pushes and Colony Matron allows me to defend. I think I'm more interested in Storm Dancer than Colony Matron right now. Go ahead and attack for 2. And yeah, we'll play Storm Dancer here. If he went for a Soaring Stranger, then this is still pretty good. Okay, he did go for a Soaring Stranger. So we attack with Storm Dancer and we get something out of him. Either his Soaring Stranger or his Savage Stranger. I could have actually attacked with the 2-2 as well, since I have Vara's Favor.
The Tempest approaches.
We're still pushing damage. That looks really good for us. And I have Dark Return as well, so a lot of access, a lot of good cards.
Our purpose is clear.
Determined Stranger here doesn't actually change the equation that much, although it is certainly a scary card. Go ahead and attack for 4. And the 2-2 kind of makes sense, but I think it's probably better not to attack with it. Unless I wanted to go attack with everything. Ooh, I kind of like that, actually, yeah. So if there's a bad block, I can just Devour out of it. Or I can Vara's Favor the Determined Stranger, which makes a lot of sense. Cool. Okay, yeah. That series of blocks makes a lot of sense. So we just Vara's Favor here.
Touch of Shadow.
Play the Shadow. And I can Dark Return Swiftblade and play it if I want to. Or I could Dark Return something like Storm Dancer. I think I like Dark Returning Swiftblade here, since that allows me to play it down as a tempo play. So, get a little bit of advantage, be nice and aggressive. We don't want to let the strangers outvalue us, so just dealing with this Soaring Stranger is going to be the big deal. Okay. Triumphant Stranger, you're the real scary one, of course. Let's attack with everything. We're going to push for all the damage that we can. If there is a block on the 2-2, we just Devour it. Although, to some extent, Devouring it might be not a good idea. We might just want to play another Storm Dancer and go for it. There's a pretty good chance I'm going to draw power, though. I think I'll go for it. Especially since this gets me closer to, like, cards like Vara's Favor. We'll play our Storm Dancer.
The Tempest approaches.
And I definitely don't want to play Soaring Stranger off of a Dark Return. Okay, so this guy's now a 4-4, and he's going to be a little bit bigger. I do, however, have a 3-4 with Quick Draw and Deadly, which is going to help me push through and get a at least one of these units a turn. Life's not looking great here. I do need better answers. The feeding time is a really good one. Killing the Forsworn Stranger would be nice as well, since that actually enables me to attack with everything. I think I like that better, because it really forces some bad blocks. So now this should be a 4/4. I think that bugged, but the attack is still good. I think because feeding time turned it into a pig, might have had a little bit of a bug there. Good to note. We'll report it after the game and make sure that it gets fixed. That's interesting. So we get all of our damage in here. I can Devour at end of turn, but I think I'm pretty comfy with this overall.
We thrive while others falter.
Okay. Hardy Stranger not getting the job done, but does provide a chump blocker for the Determined. Oh, that's Slay. Okay, we will Devour in response to the Slay, of course. And now we just need to get our flyers across. Ah, I got some good flyers. Colony Matron into Memory Dredger. Looks perfect. Colony Stranger? Memory Dredger. Okay. So this guy now a 5/6, which is a 1/1 with, yeah, just got a permanent +1 off that feeding time. Cute, cute, cute. Horus Traver, not giving you flying, so I believe we have this game now, unless there's a real good trick. Okay, good. There we go. And there we go. One last one against the Strangers, and that's 5 in a row. I think I'll probably call it there, but we should probably make diamond tonight. Alright, that does it for today. One thing I forgot to mention about this list is that it is only running 8 rares. Memory Dredger and Champion of Cunning are the only rares in the deck. Other than that, it is entirely uncommons and commons, and as a result, it makes a great inexpensive choice for new players who are looking to grind up the ladder. I think that it is overall just a really, really solid pick. You can definitely get this deck very, very highly placed if you are capable of playing it, and it's a good way to learn a lot of the cool mechanics of the game and get things started. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks to Strifecro for building this deck, and feel free to like, subscribe if you like the video, because we'll be back with more stuff very, very soon. Thank you guys again, and see you later.